A famed concert violinist struggles with fidelity in his strained marriage when temptation strikes in the form of his daughter's talented piano teacher in the 1939 interpersonal drama Intermezzo. And that's the movie we're dusting off this week on Movie Bones.
Margaret, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do what Thomas has done. I'm going to settle down.
When you're ready for that, you won't say it so desperately. With that determined look in your eye.
All right, then you're coming with me. Yes, that's it. We're going away together. And everything will be just as it was in the beginning. Do you remember the first time we went away like that? It was winter when we left here. We crossed the Alps. And suddenly it was spring. You said that the blossoming locust in Capri was what made everybody sing there. Do you remember?
It's as if you were telling me a fairy tale. Things are different now, Holger.
How?
We have a home.
Well, we'll run away. When we come back, we'll be all the more appreciative of it. They can get along without you for a while. Besides, it does children good to take care of themselves.
Take care of themselves. And Marie's only 6.
We'll take them with us. That's it. Why didn't I think of that before?
Eric could lose a year at school. Please, you know how I'd love to come with you. But, darling, you must realize that our home is my responsibility. Just as concerts and practice are yours. That spring you spoke of. That sort of happiness could only come once in one's life.
You know, there's something really frustrating about for me in that scene there. Several things, actually. One of the things I really kind of don't like about some of the older attitudes towards, marriage was the idea that the woman's place is the house, and she's responsible for everything in the house. And the man's job is to go out and do his manly things, even if that's playing concert violin. It's like he goes out into the world, she stays at home, takes care of the house. And beyond that, it's just like the idea that you can't share in responsibilities just because of what? But in a larger sense, the intro here kind of gives you a clear idea of this couple's in trouble. There's a distance between them. The guy seems actually interested in trying for a change and actually try and, bridge the gap. He's flexible. He's trying to be flexible, and she's being cold fish about it. But the movie itself is about him actually going out and having an infidelity based around this shared talent, kind of idealized youth but feminized version of himself in Ingrid Bergman's tutor character, who obviously the movie wants us to see is kind of like that. But it wants to have it all ways, and it was so frustrating, and it ruined some of the character work too. But we'll get into all that. What's your first take on this?
I'm going to let you know this right now. We both obviously have some pretty big moral issues with this, like with the character in this movie, with our main character of this movie. And when we talk about marriage, this almost becomes like, okay, I see what's happening. If the movie had gone in this direction, like their marriage was truly a marriage of convenience, we have seen that. That's something that happens in history. And it's something that happens in, we can say the 1930s is something that's still happening. People get married, and oftentimes they get married. It's out of convenience. And we know when we say convenience, it's not because like, hey, you're there, I'm here, let's get married. No, it's because, I want to be taken care of. You have something that I need. And it's not that people don't love each other. I want to make that clear. People
but it becomes secondary.
Love each other. We see
that
secondary. Yeah, that becomes a secondary thing. Problem with this movie, and this is what we're going to probably be really circling around this whole entire time, is as much as I've sat here and said, hey, these shorter movies, good for them. This is one of those movies that did not need to be a shorter movie. Like, we needed more time with everything in this movie because it doesn't make anything really palpable.
Yeah.
There are some really good things about this movie, in my personal opinion. You can even say, you can even talk about the love story between his character and Ingrid Bergman's character as something that's done well at the very beginning. But again, it's a short movie, and you're like, okay, and we'll get more into that as we continue talking about it. But the big thing here to begin with is just, for me, is this makes it easier to digest if we knew for a fact that this was a loveless marriage, that this was a marriage of convenience. And again, like if this was more historical fiction,
Mm-hmm.
and when I say historical fiction, I'm talking like, kings and queens, nobles, things like that.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
would make it super easy because oftentimes in that world, they get married because like of land. They get
Yeah.
married because of power. And
All
like
other
it's like,
kinds of
oh, they don't have their
considerations.
true love.
All other kinds of
Yeah.
considerations. And it's like they even bothered to drop a hint with his kid with Holger Brandt,
Yeah.
Leslie Howard, which we last saw actually in Pimpernel Smith, which we both liked. But he was like he actually drops the information there. It seems like, at least from his perspective, they were happy. They did get married for some kind of love in the first place. At least as far as you can tell, there was that one time. She acknowledges it. She doesn't deny it. So it's like, it feels like there should be something there you can work on as a relationship. And that's one of the things it's like, if I was to redo this movie, it was like, I would try to, yes, there would still be the infidelity part that he goes off to, but it would be understandable and more understandable in the beginning, of course, but it would also be something that it's like, okay, but come back and realize you can work through your difficulties. It does not feel like this is insurmountable from his marriage perspective. It's like he goes off it's not just because she's cold. It's because, I don't know what it is actually. And that's part of the reason. I think it goes by stock too much. You can tell from the first 5 minutes what the outlines of the plot are going to be. And it never does anything special with it. It just kind of keeps it at its most simple and basic form. If you were to try and describe it as a shape, it would just be a plain circle instead of like, it's like an artist would take, some stylized contours to a circle or a triangle or whatever. It wouldn't just be a straight triangle or a circle. This feels like it's a circle or a square or a rectangle, or a triangle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plot-wise.
And again, it comes because it's a really short movie, folks. Like
that,
I cannot stress this enough. You can this is an hour and 10 minutes. There's a lot of this movie that takes place in between the scenes. And you're just kind of like, oh, okay. Like when they start their affair, like there's some things that are very much implied. And that's what happens. Like their first kiss is implied. Like you don't actually see them kiss on screen for the first time in a romantic way. Now they kiss later on, but I'm not really cared about that. I'm not really going to get into that. But I
wonder
they
if
kiss
it
on
was like
screen
because of the moral code thing was that in play yet, where they had the moral codes being enforced. You think? Because it was confusing.
Possibly.
I thought there's no reason not to show the kiss, in my opinion, unless you had like a strict overbearing code being imposed on you.
Almost the very next scene, or one of the very next scenes, anyways, is that from that scene where they first kiss, and again, we don't really see their first kiss, but it's implied. From their first kiss on, like a couple weeks have passed. Maybe even longer than that. We could make an argument that there's a couple months that passed because then we jump to he had wanted her to go on tour with him, and she decided that at some point in between that, she decides, I'm not going to go on tour with him. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Denmark. I'm going to get away from all this. And like in the scene that they're together next, we've been like, I can't do this anymore. What does it mean I can't do this anymore? All this sneaking around that we've been doing. It's not one time sneaking around. They have been sneaking around for quite a while. Again, we don't really know how long it is, but we know that there's been more than one time, and she feels like that's morally wrong. So she wants to break it off. Again, you just see, like, you have to kind of like fill in the subtext there with your own self. It does make you do a little bit of the work.
Yeah.
Because you're like, okay, so this is, clearly they've been going on. Like this, honestly, it's such a random thing to say, but this is a fan fiction writer's like dream, because you can just go in and take this movie, go watch this movie if you like writing fan fiction, go take this movie and just like fill in the gaps, because there's so many gaps to fill in this movie.
I mean, in other movies where there would be like, those scenes that you say are missing, it's not like it doesn't feel like those should have been edited out for like constraints. It's like, no, it's or for, like, oh, that's bloat. That's too much information. No. Yeah. Showing them together actually shows the audience why you're so tempted to go with this woman.
I almost want like a slow burn. Like, give me the slow burn type of romance, even if it's wrong. Give me a slow burn romance where they're kind of like, are they going to ever actually get together? Are they going to actually kiss?
Yeah.
little things here and there. Right now, I'm hard critiquing this movie. I actually do like this movie.
Honestly, we're going to end up diverging quite a bit in this, folks, if we stick with our reviews.
Yeah. But I will say this, like, you know, give me more time with characters. Let me know who they are and give me a slow burn. Like, build up their relationship. Like,
Yeah.
I get what they're doing, but I would have rather, like, back-ended this relationship so that we can better understand it. And also, because, like, you know, I don't want to be jumping through tangents here, but, like, in our world today, in our day and age, we have a lot of actual problems that most people would go, oh, no. She's barely out of high school. Like, I would say she's 18 at most. This dude is a father with a grown, like almost grown son. I want to make that. They've been together for a long time. He has 2 children, a teenage son and a, you know, like a daughter who's like 5 years old. I think her birthday is actually in the movie and she's 5 years old. So we're definitely dealing with, like, in our world and in our time period, we're going, this dude needs to go to jail.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
And maybe even go to jail. Cause, like, and again, like, it does imply, like, it doesn't tell her age, but I'm guessing, especially when Ingrid Bergman started acting.
This is her first film.
Both her and her character are like 18 years old.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the oldest I think I'm giving them.
Yeah.
So again, that's just like, dude, you're a creep. Like in our world today, we're sitting there going, dude, you're an absolute creep.
Yeah, it's too much.
So,
yeah.
you know.
It's and it does try to. That's the thing. It does rely because it skips those important scenes too. It does not help because you're left to rely on your stereotypical understanding of the world as to why these two would get together. So therefore, I'm watching the film. And I don't think this is an unrealistic kind of assumption to make, is that it feels almost like vanity in a way, because he sees someone who's like him. She gets him because she's a savant at music, kind of like he is. And it's like, but it's like if he was younger and, you know, if it was just a younger feminized version of himself, which is kind of vain in a way when you think about it. But it's like, but the movie doesn't give you any personality reasons or scenes explaining their own specific lives that would be in such a way that you could understand why this person and this person, despite all the fact that on top of the fact that it's the age difference, it really is kind of immoral at that point. It's like, but there's no reason given for that. So you fall back on stereotypes. And I'm sorry to say that makes him even worse. It's like if they were trying to make the wife look bad for being a cold fish in the beginning, he looks worse for what he does, because it's like, well, you're just a vain clod. You know, and it's like, and later on, his decisions are pure cowardice. You know, the decisions he makes. Yeah. They're pure cowardice. It does not force him to reconcile with anything, even though the movie would have you believe that something is positive is coming of this. It's like, no, we haven't really explored that. Please do. But then the movie ends.
I don't even know. I know I said it before. I'm not trying to say justify it, but understand it. You can justify something and you can understand something. You can do separately.
Yeah.
But it's just we're not given enough time to understand it. However, I will say this. We are, just because they kind of outright tell it to you, we are given enough time to understand Ingrid Bergman's character, because her character, even though she is in the wrong, she's having an affair. Yeah. She does outright say, this is wrong. Like, this is 100% wrong. We should not be doing this. And she, multiple times throughout the movie, up until the end, is even like, hey, we need to stop doing this. You know, you have a life. You've got a family. As much as I do love you, and I do, this cannot be. Like, she outright says it. So we know her moral position. That doesn't mean that she's in the right. I'm just saying, like, we at least know enough about her to know, she doesn't want to be she doesn't really want to be a part of this.
I'm almost with you on that. There was a point in the film, at least it seems like he's convinced her that this is the right thing to do, that to go on this affair, and she's fully on board with it to the point where she's willing to burn the letter that says she's got accepted for this, I think it was a scholarship, and she is willing to burn that for him and the plan that he's set out for their lives now. So there was at least some time period where she's convinced of it, at least enough. She has to be convinced back of it by the other guy. her mentor tutor
Hey,
guy.
I'm just saying this right now. If you remade this movie in this day and age, the dude would have 100% been the antagonist of this movie, even if he's been meant to be sympathetic, and it would have been 100% about like, grooming tactics and like I'm serious.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not
what this
kidding.
movie
Yeah.
would have 100% been about, because I mean, like, we look at it from our lens and we can see like he seduced her with music. Like, that's what he did. He seduces her with music. He convinces her not to follow her dreams. He convinces her to actually like stay with him when she doesn't want to go. And it's not convincing her because like she's just gullible. It's you could look at the whole grooming thing.
You're actually getting me to the point where I'm considering lowering my review even further. And you know what that means because you've seen where I've already at. You know what that means, but you're tempting me with it right now.
I get it, but I will say this: like, sometimes these movies need to actually exist, and that's one of the reasons why I actually like, even knowing that this was morally wrong. It is morally wrong. I'm not. You can't defend these characters. You especially can't defend him. This dude comes home in this movie. Like, the reason why he comes home is because he has kids. If he didn't have any kids, that marriage is done.
Let's talk about that. Yeah.
You do learn kind of like when he decides to come home, like, he's not coming home for his wife. Like,
no,
he kind of implies that he loves her, but I mean, he's 100% coming home for his kids, and he's not even coming home for his son. He's coming home for his daughter.
He's coming home.
It's like the son in this movie is just kind of like an afterthought.
And even then, it takes like this immense amount of pressure by the mutual friend he has between him and Ingrid Bergman to pressure him with like, yeah, your daughter actually misses you a lot. And it's like he only just it's like he's trying to just barely touch that old world. Okay, before we even get to that, and I'm going to tie this in, but while he's on vacation with his mistress, basically, he is forming for himself a substitute family. He's got this girl picked out outside who shows up with this other instrument. I can't even remember what it was. But this young little girl about 10 years, 12 years old. I can't remember what it was. But she's trying to teach him an instrument he's unfamiliar with. He's treating her like she's his real daughter. And it's like, and Ingrid Bergman is his new wife. And it becomes this really creepy deal that way. So he doesn't need his old daughter anymore. He has to be goaded back into that by the mutual acquaintance. And it's like, and even then he's like, I'll bring her this camera. I'll buy her off with this camera. Maybe I won't have to deal with her for another year or so. If I can assuage my conscience enough, if I get her this camera and just show up and say hi from across the street, that'll be enough to assuage my conscience for another year until she starts pestering me again for another object. That's what it feels like. It makes him the worst person alive. He does, like, maybe not the worst, maybe not that bad, but close. He's vying for the position, at least in terms of relationship type material. He's vying for that low bar, and it's like, and then of course the tragedy happens, and we'll get into that too when you're ready.
Yeah,
but
I hate to tell you this. I'm glad they made it the way they made it. But if they make that little girl like 2 to 3 years older, maybe a little bit older than that, like 5 years older, like she's a 5 years older girl. I'm serious. I'm sitting there going, there's some part of me that's going, are we about to find out this dude's like a major creep and like he's actually like, he just chases young women? Like, I'm telling you, like, that's first I thought, okay, maybe this is where this movie's going to. While I don't agree with this movie, like the characters of this movie, I'm like, there's a lot here to go from a good film to a great film, even not liking the characters. Like, there's a possibility there. It just needed more. I'm actually kind of surprised. At least I'm not sure. I'm almost surprised it's not been remade yet. Was it this movie this week or was it last week? I told you that Willie Nelson.
Yeah, he said something about Willie Nelson. Do you remember that? Do you remember anything about that?
Yes, this film is loosely remade in 1980 as a vehicle for Willie Nelson titled Honeysuckle Rose.
Oh, boy. That sounds like trouble.
Yeah.
It sounds like trouble. Especially if they keep the angle with the very big age difference. That sounds like trouble. I mean,
Do you know the difference
Yeah.
between that movie and this movie?
What's that?
That movie's an hour and 19 minutes long, or 119 minutes long.
He could potentially solve the problem that the time constraints, imposed on this one. There's some problems that just, that would have to be inadditionally fixed in order for it to become around. Because it's like, and I was going to get to this too, it's like once the tragedy happens with the daughter, his daughter gets hit by a car and he feels terrible. But, and here's the thing. This is supposed to be part of his redemption arc, right? This is the lowest point part of the film that the main character is supposed to face his deepest, darkest self and try to come back and do something redeeming. But he never even actually goes in to see his daughter, even when he thinks she's dying. Can you? Mm-hmm. It's like, and I'm like, you didn't even go up to visit her. You talk to the son, and you have some, and which tries to imply that he's sorry for what he did, but you don't actually go up and visit the daughter. You don't talk to the wife. You don't do anything else. Like all these problems, it was the last chance gasp for anything positive to come from the character. And it kind of like the character said, you think I'm going to redeem myself? Well, on that, it's like, I'm going to walk out. In fact, I'm going to walk out the door without even seeing my daughter at all. And it's like, she's going to heal. Fine. I can leave now. I'm not even going to say hi. The daughter thinks she wakes up and sees her father as a picture on her dresser or something. And I'm like, dude, you let her have that image of you, come on. I hated him.
You know what? You know the route they should have taken?
What's that?
He should have saved his daughter from getting hit, and he should have been the one that got hit. And
probably,
then, like, his dying breath, he apologizes, for everything. That's really probably how this movie should have ended, is in that way.
Yeah.
We don't even really get to sit with the daughter being injured for that long.
No, we don't.
She gets hit, and like within the span of like 2 to 3 minutes, they're like, she's gonna be all right. Like, well, that's good to know.
I actually,
but it's like the last 10 minutes of this movie, this part happens.
When she gets hit, I thought she's dead already. She's gonna be dead right now. And then when she's not dead already, it looks like she faints at some point in her bed, and it's like, well, now she's dead. And then the doctor says, no, she's not dead. Okay. Actually, that was one of the more unclear points in the film. Is like, is the movie trying to tell me she's dead now or now? Or now? And like, no, she's just not dead. Okay, fine, whatever. And it's
you know what? I would say this. She's strong. Like, I understand that those older vehicles like that, they don't go like super fast like our vehicles do now. We're talking like even less than like 55 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. You might be topping out at 35, 45 miles an hour. But those suckers are made of pure metal. We're not talking plastic, folks.
No, they're
those
heavy.
Are pure metal.
They're heavy.
And the tires, the tires are not like the tires today, but she gets rolled over by all four. All four of those tires roll over her.
I think it's probably a good time to turn to our verdicts about this point. So you and I came down very, very diametrically, not maybe like completely diametrically opposed. You almost talked me down to a kill it with fire. Almost. I'm going to hold true to my don't look at it, even despite all those really horrible elements. It's not like I think it's not really trying to portray it. If it was more explicit in that range, I would have to definitely give it kill it with fire. The only good things I can say about the movie is like, I really like Ingrid Bergman. Like you said, this is her first film. It does shows her talent, really well. And I like Leslie Howard too, despite the fact that he's playing an absolute creep. He at least has the capacity as an actor to try and convey believable emotions at every stage and in a very good way. It's like he's doing the best he can, and she is too. So it's like you have your leading pair that's doing, really good acting work. But as far as everything else, I just can't, man. It's like this is a don't look at it for me. I can't even for the historical factors say that, you should watch it because it's Ingrid Bergman's first film. Look, she was in a ton of films where the story was better. Go watch those. Those I can absolutely and unequivocally recommend. Were better than that, where the story was better. Go watch those. Those I can absolutely, and unequivocally recommend. This one though, don't look at it. Just don't look at it. How about you?
Okay. Well, so mine, yes, is in the opposite direction. I am not a Fortune and Glory unless your name is Ingrid Bergman.
Yes.
If you are an Ingrid Bergman fan, you go watch this film because I have not seen a film with her yet where she specifically is a bad actress. Even freaking that movie that happened in the 60s that I forget its name.
Cactus Flower.
Like even that movie, she's good in that movie. Her first film, and she knocks it out the park. Like, Fortune and Glory for her all the way, every day. I'm almost at this point. I dare you to show me a bad performance from her. Even when she phones it in like she did Cactus Flower, it's still a good performance in my opinion. Now, that all being said, I actually am also opposite direction. I'm not fortune and glory with that part. I am a trust me to a close belongs in a museum. And there is a couple of reasons why. One, the music at the beginning of this film is phenomenal. Like, that's kind of another critique I have. Like, give me the music. Keep giving me the music as we go through this film, because it was just phenomenal music. Like, I also looked at, believe it or not, like if you watch the film, I want to make this clear. The violin that they're playing, the piano that they're playing, those are dubbed over. However, she's actually playing the notes. Like, I thought that was really neat. That's a really good, that's one reason why she's acting, like her acting is so well. She's 100% playing the notes of the song. So when you're watching her hand movements, that's actually her. Again, it's not her actually playing, but she's actually playing where the notes should be. Yeah. And I thought, when I saw that, I was like, that is phenomenal. Like that is, the littlest details are what makes you a phenomenal actress, Ingrid Bergman, which is one of the reasons why she becomes one of the most celebrated actresses of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That does show us, like, one of the biggest themes is, what happens when your selfishness overtakes everything else and all the people that you hurt in the process. And that is what happens. You hurt, he hurts his wife. He hurts his daughter. It leads to physically, not him physically hurting his daughter, but it leads to her physically being hurt. If we had a longer movie, we could probably see the ramifications with the son,
who we barely see. We barely see him.
And even Ingrid Bergman's character, we see how his selfishness, and yes, she's in the wrong as well. Her character's in the wrong as well. But we see how his selfishness even negatively affects her. And that's kind of what this movie is getting at. And the reason why I give it somewhere between a trust me to a belongs in a museum is because of those things. But there's a lot that you've seen me critique in this movie. We just need more time so that we can really understand these characters to their fullest extent. Yeah. And this is a daring movie to make, I think, especially kind of at the beginning of those like moral standards that they actually throw into, that they start having in movies in this time period, where we're going from, the late 20s, early 30s, where, things like rated R that we have today are more acceptable to this. It's like, this is a daring movie to make.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch it a lot. I think you give it, especially if you're an Ingrid Bergman fan, you give it a once over at least. I'm telling you though, like the music, I could go back and just listen to the music. Like, it's the type of music that used to put me to sleep as a child. And I've always been grateful for that music. But like the music is phenomenal. The acting is phenomenal. Yeah. The story, while it could be better, I understand the lesson of the story. So that's where I'm at. Now, there is a world in which I'm convinced Kill It With Fire as well, just because like his character is straight up a creep. There's plenty of times in this movie where I'm like, I kind of want to punch you in the face now. Like, you deserve to be hit with your stinking violin, man.
Ryan, you've got 3 daughters. Like, just imagine your daughter being in Ingrid Bergman's position, right? What do you want to do to him now? It's that's what. That's what it comes down to.
I destroy him. Like he doesn't make it out of his little music thing.
If you're having a good time dusting off these old movies in search of celluloid treasure with us, please do like and subscribe and comment. And of course, follow us on your podcast purveyor of choice. Tell us what you think we got wrong and clue us in on a few titles you'd like us to see cover on future episodes. As long as they're available for free on Tubi or other similar sites, because this adventure comes with no strings attached. And on the subject of future episodes, I am so happy with this one, man. This is our first Marx Brothers movie. So why don't you tell the folks about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's 100% a comedy, unless I'm somehow wrong, right?
No, you're definitely right.
A seedy theatrical agent guarantees a patron a position in high society if she bankrolls an opera, but only if he manages to sign a famous sinner. This is directed by Sam Wood. I feel like I've heard that name before. It is starring all 3 of the Marx brothers, Groucho, Chico, and Harpo Marx, and also Kitty Carlisle. This movie is titled A Night at the Opera. I've not seen this movie before, I don't think.
On the subject of having all the Marx brothers, there's actually a 4th Marx brother. I don't know if you knew this, but there's a 4th Marx brother at least. They called him Zeppo. He was known for being the not funny one. And he's not highlighted at
I've
all
heard
in
of
the
him
films.
before.
Yeah. But he's not highlighted usually with the other three, because the other three.
There's a very small part of me that I thought you might say Carl.
No, no, it wasn't that. I was not going there. I know where you might think that, but no. In any case, folks, that's our show for this week. Do join us for Night at the Opera next week. It's going to be a hoot. In any case, I can't think of anything else to say, so we'll see you next week, folks. Brian, I'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye-bye, folks.